Hey there, welcome to the 42nd episode of Under the Radar. I am pleased to be back. It's taken me a little while to pump out another episode here because I've been so busy filming music videos and dropping music videos and getting mixes back for songs on the red tape. If in case you hadn't noticed, I did recently drop a Slave to Servant video for Wool, which not only appears on the CD Singularity, which you can order online, but you can also get the song soon on a digital EP that's going to be released by Third String Records called Aletheia. And I just wrapped up filming the next music video, a B-side from Escape Babylon called Second Coming. It's going to be a wild video, and for those that have been kind of following the videos so far that I've been putting out, this video for Second Coming ties together three other videos story-wise. It kind of comes full circle back to Flying Saucers. So it ties Wool, Mutton, and Flying Saucers together, which is kind of cool. So I'll be dropping that pretty soon here. Just got to talk to Third String about what we're doing with some promo and how we're going to handle all this before I make that one public. But anyway, that's kind of what's going on there. And I'll talk about a little bit more Slave to Servant news at the end, but for now, let's get into the episode. Now, the band I'm going to cover today is a band, I think I mentioned them very briefly in one of the previous episodes. I think it was the episode that I did on Written in the Sand. I think this is the first place that I ever heard of this band. This band is called the Rutabega. And the first time I ever heard of them was this indie pop compilation called Herbs and Hordo that Johann's Face Records had put out, and they had a song on here with a bunch of other bands. And they had one album out at the time called Cobus Green, which I didn't get into right away, but I did end up buying this much later. In addition to Cobus Green being on Johann's Face Records, they also had their own label, the Rutabega. They had a label called Patsy Presents, so they would co-release albums with Johann's Face. They also had their own Patsy Presents compilation that they were on, and I believe the Atari Star, if I'm not mistaken, was on there. Yes, in fact, this comp does have an Atari Star song, which is Mark Ruvolo from Johann's Face Records, his band that he was in at the time. And also this contained a Sig Transit Gloria song. So hey, look at that. It ties right back into Written in the Sand, being that Sig Transit Gloria was the band before Written in the Sand. So anyway, the first time I really got into the Rutabega, I had heard their name and I'd seen their name on flyers because they would play shows around the Midwest, and they were from South Bend, Indiana. I had taken a trip over to the Casa de Johann, and I was in Mark Ruvolo's living room, and we were talking about releasing Midwest Blues Alarm Clock EP on Johann's Face, and he had just gotten a shipment of a couple different new releases that were about to come out in 2004, and he gave me a couple of them, one of them being These Knotty Lines by the Rutabega, and I was pretty blown away by this. I jammed this all the way home in my little Nissan, and I was pretty obsessed with this record. It's really good. So to describe the Rutabega before we get into the songs, I would call the style and vibe of the Rutabega to be like great campfire music. And by that I mean it has a very folk but indie vibe to it. A lot of great lyrics, awesome bridges. Like there's a lot of variety in Josh Hensley's chords. And I think the first Rutabega record, Cobus Green, was all acoustic, if I'm not mistaken. And then on this record, he got a drummer and other instrumentation involved with this. But the drummer, Matt Morgan, engineered this record. And so this dropped in 2004. Like I said, I love this record. It is a really fun ride. It really blows their first record out of the water, in my opinion. So, without further ado, let's get into These Knotty Lines. Let's start with my favorite, which is the opener, a song called 44.
The strongest part of the storm is moving east, 44 miles an hour, folding clothes on Friday.
Such a great song. I felt that it just hooked you in right away. Great song. The bridges, again, like Josh Hensley, just great chord like variations and varieties, and just it takes you in a new direction, and had a lot of cool like vocals going on in the background and instrumentation. Just a really cool folky record, right? So the second song on here has a little bit different of a vibe, and something about it, I don't know if it's like the riff and maybe the chord progression kind of reminds me a little bit of like if the Pixies were to go more folk. And this song is called Exactly. That song definitely has a little bit of a different direction than the opening track, and following that pattern, the next track that I'm going to cover also has a little bit more of a chill indie vibe, and in some ways the riff to it and like the, I guess you'd say like the side stick or the rim shot like has this like American football kind of vibe to it, and this song is called Kiss Atlantic Goodbye. The next song I'm going to cover on here is a lot more upbeat, and just I think he adds like these electric guitars to it that are distorted, and it just gives it this noisier, I don't know what I would even describe it. There's a little bit of shoegaze going on with it. This song is called Connect 4.
So today, pull away from everything you are, every bone in our body.
fun song. And the final song that I'm going to cover, and this is a tough one. This is like a toss-up for me between the opener and this song being my favorite songs on the album. It's really tough. I probably would say the opening track just because it's the first one and just hooked me in right away. But this song is pretty epic, and the bridge to it is just, it takes you in this whole different direction, and just really enjoy it. There's something about it. It just reminds me of going on a journey or something, you know. It's just a really cool song. It's called Boy Spun Out. Love that song. I could cover a whole lot more songs off of this record just because it's pretty flawless. I don't think there's a bad song on here. One of the songs was originally on Cobus Green that I didn't cover, but I love the version on here a lot more than Cobus Green's version. So you could just tell, like, he got a lot better on this record than the debut. Not that the debut is bad or anything. But that being said, in 2005, and this is, I'm kind of getting a little ahead of myself because right now I'm just covering 2004 releases. And in 2005, I decided to start a record label based off of the Alarm Clock EP that I put out on Johann's Face with Midwest Blue. And I called it Alarm Clock Records, and then eventually changed the name to Alarm Clock Revolution. Now, I was searching out indie bands and indie artists of all sorts of genres and subgenres as I started the label. And Rutabega was one of my favorites, and I think it was Mark Ruvalo who kind of tipped me off that Josh had finished a new record and that he was looking for a label to release it, and that he only had it out on CDR and at shows. So I had asked Josh, like, in an email to send me a copy to my P.O. box. And so he sent me this record called It's You. And this is also a really good record. I just, I definitely couldn't take it on at the time. And I didn't like it quite as much as I like These Knotty Lines, but the songs that I liked a lot on here, I thought definitely blew away the last record. Like, there were 2 or 3 songs on here that just killed. But again, there was less instrumentation, less drums and stuff like that, and that was what I really loved about These Knotty Lines. So anyway, that being said, I did end up later, I think in 2008, I kind of, because I couldn't release all these bands that I loved and I didn't have the money for it, I decided to release a compilation called Alarm Comp. And on this compilation, I included the song Pellets, which was on It's You.
You know we all see God's strange places, strange faces, strange things. I saw it tonight, but I can't call it that. The word's been ruined tonight. It looked like trees and light and sage. This thought, I won't live my life being unhappy. I woke my son up and told him he thought
have searched the band's Bandcamp, and you cannot find this record on their Bandcamp. And also, I wanted to note that Josh Hensley continues to be a badass and release more music, because he had a recent 2020 release that was on vinyl. He's put out records like just continuously over the last 2 decades. I did not realize that, and he's been busy. So hats off to Josh, and definitely stoked to see that he's still doing this. He's a lifer. But that being said, you cannot get this record on his Bandcamp page. It's the only one. So you can go to alarmclockrevolution.bandcamp if you would like, and you can do a digital download of this. I literally have 2 copies of this left. But I will be covering this in the future when I get to the year 2008, towards the end of this series in UTR. So anyway, that all being said, I did also want to say there is a split EP that the Rutabega did with Mike Kinsella of American Football, and the songs by, well, Owen, if for those of you that don't know, Mike Kinsella went under the alias Owen and was on Polyvinyl Records, and just put out a lot of different music, just amazing records. I've got some of his stuff on vinyl and CD myself. I used to have this split between the Rutabega and Mike Kinsella, the original pressing, and it went out of print very quickly, and it was then repressed by Polyvinyl Records, and I think it had different artwork, but I might be wrong about that. Anyhow, I think a friend of mine borrowed it and just never gave it back, Billy. But anyway, the Mike Kinsella songs on it were amazing, and he also covered his own American Football song, Never Meant, on it, and it's sick. So do yourself a favor and go find that somewhere. But in the meantime, back to These Knotty Lines. If you have never heard this record, you can go on Josh's Bandcamp and download it. I suggest supporting Josh and his endeavor. Obviously, he's putting a lot of time and energy into this still, and I'm really happy to see that he's still doing what he's good at. So, yeah, you could probably go on Discogs and find this. It was released, again, by Johann's Face Records and Patsy Presents. Physically, I think there probably are only like 1,000 copies out there, but I'm sure you can do a little hunting on Discogs and find it. So, in other news, like I said before in Slave to Servant news, I really have just been grinding really hard on music videos. I got a lot done. Dropped that Wool video, got Second coming out soon, and an EP with Third String Records. As well as I'm literally finished with all of the songs on the red tape. So everything's been mixed, and I've had my buddy Grant Harris, aka Goldhouse, mix the last few songs, and I'm just blown away by what he's doing with these songs. And so I'm going to be filming a ton more videos. I might even just start releasing red tape videos before I release more Escape Babylon videos, just because it's kind of easier, and I have a lot of footage. Like I said, I'd gone back to Chicago to do this stuff with Mark S's and people for the live band songs on the red tape. So yeah, I'm gonna be filming a lot of videos this summer on days that I don't have my kids and that I don't have gigs, just making hay while the sun shines here. Also been just extraordinarily busy with gigs, and as you can see, this is my July schedule this month around the Finger Lakes, upstate New York here, and I'm just slammed with cover gigs. So definitely thankful. It's so nice to be out and seeing people without masks, and just that things are at least at somewhat of a normal for now. We'll just say that. So anyway, thank you again for tuning in, subscribing, liking. Feel free to go to my Bandcamp page, slavetoservant.bandcamp.com. I'm going to be adding some physical items to there at the Bandcamp site that can be ordered with digital downloads soon. Yeah, I should have some more episodes for you in the future. I've got a bunch of exciting ones that I'm working on, and yeah, looking forward to presenting some more releases from 2004. And until I see you again, thank you for your time.